Morning. Got good news. We're taking steps in the right direction and getting better. And I better add this in there too. My daughter's volleyball team is getting better as well. So I'm tired of sleeping on the couch for the most part. But I did tell my other daughter this past weekend that if we go to another softball tournament and she doesn't swing, that she may not go back. So swing the bat. It's my point to her. So I'm sure I'll be sleeping on the couch again. But in all seriousness, I think today was day 6. Friday we had practice number 5 and did a little bit of live work in the stadium. Had Student Appreciation Day and a bunch of recruits there. I think we've had over 150 recruits through 6 practices here. Had a bunch of students come out Saturday and appreciate those folks coming out and just wanted to show appreciation to them and their support and what they do and to make this thing go. But I think we're working in the right direction. We're going the right way. I think our effort's been pretty good, and I think our energy wasn't great on Friday. Challenged the guys a little bit. We challenged them as a coaching staff and thought that picked up the day in practice. And we hit a 3rd down period in there as well, so that helped. But seeing some guys step up. Ray, our receiver, is doing a really, really good job. He's kind of the one that kind of flashes the most right now. I think we got some guys on the perimeter receiver with him, with Brock, with Landon that can go out there, and we got to find ways to get those guys on the field. Tyler, he continues to make some plays. He's got to be more consistent. But I think that's kind of a strength of ours right now is the receiver core. We got to do a better job protecting it up front. And the quarterbacks are making moves. I think those guys are starting to move in the right direction. And that's kind of what you expect. You got 38 new guys. You got 5 new coaches on the field. It takes a few practices to get through some things and get moving in the right direction to understand the expectations and exactly see what they are. So we'll practice this Wednesday. In a full padded practice, and then this Friday will be our first scrimmage number 1. We'll also have First Responders Day, so I'd like to appreciation day for that. Invite everybody out who's a first responder to come out to Dowdy-Fickman Stadium. I think that's around 10 o'clock, 10:30, and just kind of check the guys out and get to meet those guys in person. So this time we'll go for questions.
Coach, I have a lot of receivers that can play the slots, like Ray, Brock, and maybe even Landon. So how do y'all decide who plays where, get them on the field at the same time?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we're talking about developing players right now. It's not about developing plays. And I told both sides of the football that. Sometimes, and I was this way as a coordinator too, you get caught up in your install or caught up in getting this pressure in or this scheme in or this concept in. And you forget, we got to go back to the fundamentals and talk about tackling, talk about blocking, talk about leverage, talk about footwork, first step, our eyes, all those things. And that's what we got to develop the most of, is developing those guys. And then at some point, how can we get our best 11 out there? Is it Brock? Is it Ray? Is it Landon? Or whoever it may be? Is Jeremiah Melvin going to step up? Is Tyler Johnson going to be more consistent? If those guys are, then then we have a really good problem. But we got to find the best combination of those. But right now, it's about just developing our fundamentals and developing those players as players, and let the scheme kind of grow from there.
Couple weeks in, which guys have stepped up as the biggest leaders you think are kind of carrying that responsibility next year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing every football team is leadership, because a lot of times your leadership graduates out or grows out, and you kind of look into who's going to step up and be those guys within the coming years. And I think as guys get more and more comfortable around each other, and you don't most guys don't step into a natural, hey, I'm a leader, I'm going to walk out there and everybody's going to, they kind of grow into that. And I think we got guys growing in that direction right now. Defensively, I'd say DJ Johnson is a really good grasp of what we're doing and understands the expectations and kind of getting everybody pushing in that direction. He's also got to make sure he takes care of DJ, but at the same time, I think he can, be a leader through his actions and the way he plays. Preston's obviously an older guy. Josiah Robinson on that side of the ball. Julian Davis is a outstanding young man on and off the field, and I continue to just comment on him for his leadership and the way he approaches the game. And offensively, we got some new offensive linemen, but I think those guys are older guys, played a lot of snaps, and I think we'll see those guys as spring goes on, as summer rolls around, become more and more leaders and step into that role. Brock doesn't say a whole lot, but Brock, he leads by the way he plays the game and just the football player he is.
As you move towards the scrimmage, where's a couple of things that you want the team to improve? Where's some things you're seeing so far?
Just consistency. We talked today about our efforts getting better. It's not the best or where we want it to be quite yet, but it's getting better. Of 22 guys on the field understanding exactly the expectation for that. I thought our energy on Friday, because it was our first afternoon practice. It was our first time in Dowdy. We haven't talked enough about what it means to play in Dowdy yet. So I thought the energy kind of sunk a little bit, but we did a better job of that in practice today. So just continue improving those things. And then once we understand of how to play the game and the expectation and the standards of those things, then we got to clean up the execution piece. And it's got to look more like a college football practice and clean those things up. And it will. Today we did a little Skelly work with some pass rush involved in Skelly, just so the quarterbacks understand the timing, so they get comfortable with guys in their face. I don't want them, and I told Mitch this, I said, I don't want you to step out on a game or a scrimmage and that be the first time that you feel a game situation. Our job as coaches is to put you in many game situations as possible. That way the game becomes easy. You've been there before. You understand it. And that's the practice situation, that's pressure, that's all those things.
With all the roster turnover there is now, what do you do to try to, I don't know, almost force these guys to become brothers and family? What do you do to, off the field? I
just got asked that by a recruit out there. He's like, how do you build your culture, build your team? And, I think you can always go back to the weight room and the time you spend in there and the time you spend sweating and working and grinding together, all those things, or practice. And we do some mindset leadership training. Coach Baggett does a great job of that. And we have a leadership council that we kind of talk to and spend a little extra time with, and we push and nudge guys in that direction. But surprisingly, the easiest thing we found, and it's been pretty successful, is just take their phones away at dinner. It's pretty cost efficient, pretty easy, but just take their phones away and kind of force them to, they're so locked into their phones. They're not just our players; it's everywhere and everybody. I catch myself doing it, just locked in your phone and seeing news updates or what's going on everywhere else, and you forget to kind of have a conversation with the person beside you. And I think, it worked really well for us last year, and this group does a really good job of that too. And before you know it, they'll be pulling tables together and hanging out, and the noise level will go up, and that's a good thing. So I think those things help build culture, they help build team, and help build that tight-knit locker room.
Coach Tesh is now with his new promotion here, a few weeks into his new role. Can you just talk about how that's going and what he means to you?
Coach Tesh is awesome. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Maybe one of the longest tenured assistant coaches. He's been here since 2019 and does an outstanding job in that D-line room, and just his consistency and his passion and his standard that he has for that room and our entire defense. And I really appreciate what he does for this program and what he does for everyone here, and his leadership too. He kind of sets the tempo on that side of the ball with toughness, stopping the run, and things we need to do to win the game. And he'll continue to do that and look forward to it.
What has Coach Hankins brought to your defense, and then how's that linebacker room, unfolding underneath him?
Yeah, I think the linebacker room overall is getting better, and Coach Hankins is doing a good job with those guys in there. DJ Johnson is really the guy that's played the most in there. If you were starting tomorrow, he's definitely the guy that's going to go out there and play and play a lot, and kind of earned that role. I thought later in the season he was playing as good as anybody at that position, kind of a natural headhunter, so to speak. And then the Law brothers are doing a really good job. Jackson Barker's doing a good job. Cruz is the one that kind of shows up of just doesn't quite understand and grasp the scheme right now, and that's okay. But he understands leverages and fits, does a good job tackling, gets downhill, and plays good fundamentals and can run. So excited to see that room continue to grow. Jordan Miles has progressed, but like to see him take that next step. He's a freshman going into his second year. All those other guys are older in that room, fourth, fifth year players. The expectations are high, and Coach Hankins does a good job of just putting it all together and make sure everybody's on the same page and bring some different looks for us that'll help us grow on the defense side of the ball.
What have you seen from the tight end room, and is there anything standing out?
Yeah, the tight ends, I think Stephen Collier is a young guy that'd be a redshirt freshman that kind of does some good things out there in the pass game especially. We got to be more physical. Him and Ishmael both in the run game, just blocking, getting on backers or blocking a defensive end or coming across or in split zone, whatever it may be. I'd like to see those guys be a little bit more physical there. I did think they got better as the week progressed last week. I'd like to see them take that next step. But in the pass game, Steven's the guy that can catch the ball across the middle right now. Now, when it's third down, game's on the line, can we handle those pressure situations as well? That's kind of the next step for him. But I think both those guys are doing a good job. Mason Brown is doing a really good job in the run game. You know, we have the green dot, red dot as a team, as a unit, or as a team, collective team this morning, and Mason's on there for flat back and a linebacker, and just doing a really good job being consistent with that.
Last year, this time you were, going through this for the first time. As you sit here today, how set are you in what you're doing, and how much you still kind of learning on the fly? What's the balance there?
Yeah, I think you're always learning. You're always growing. I think the minute you stop learning, growing, is the minute you can become stale. And obviously, college football is going to change and grow and move in all kinds of different directions. So you better be flexible and ready to learn with that and grow with that. So I think we continue to do that, not just as schematically, but as teachers, and the way we can be more efficient in practice and more effective with those things as well. And then you just kind of understand, like, hey, there's big problems and little problems. And if it's a big problem that can affect winning and losing, we better go attack it. And there's also little things that sometimes you kind of hate, just push that aside and take care of it later. But you still got to have that sense of urgency, that 4th and 1 mentality that we're going to attack everything, and let's go get better every single day. Let's just don't sit back. Let's go attack it.
As you evaluating the quarterbacks, what's the most important things that you're looking to for that?
Take care of the football. I think you see it out in the hallway right there. It's playing to win. I think the first one on there is all about the ball, and that's both sides. I think 2 years ago, we were probably close to bottom of the country in turnovers, and we did a much better job taking care of the football this past season. So we got to continue to do that. If you'll take care of the football, I always think you have a chance to win. It seems like there's more teams out there that beat themselves than teams that win games. And it's really about every sport. I mean, I was watching some basketball game last night, a blue team and some team from up north, maybe UConn. And if the blue team just holds the basketball and gets fouled, they have a chance to win the game instead of they turn it over. So they really beat themselves. And I think there's more in every sport. And I'm sorry if that's the sore subject for some other, but in every sport, it seems like there's teams that beat themselves. And by taking care of the football, we can, take care of it, put the ball in our hands and take care of it. And same thing defensively, we got to create their turnovers. So I think that's number one. And then just making good decisions. Who is making good, solid decisions to help us win football games? Both of them are plenty talented enough. Both of them are really good, smart kids that are good leaders. And I see them grow and get better every single day in the way they attack it. So number one for me, though, to take care of the football.
Does anybody stand out in the corner room this far?
Yeah, I think you have some flashes. We got to be more consistent in that room. Ashton Levels is a guy that athletically changes direction really well. Can run, can play some man out there, cover some things. Darion Horsley is a guy that's going in his second year of football, doing some good things, and is long. But he's got to be more consistent out there as well. So we got to continue to find. I think as a group, that room, we've kind of moved ahead where we've been in the past couple of years. But we got to find a guy that's, because I don't know if we walk out there tomorrow who the starter would be, and we got to find a guy that's going to step out and say, hey, this is my position. I'm going to be the guy on the field, and when this game's on the line, I want the ball, and we don't quite have that yet. We kind of, like my daughter, still sitting there with the bat on our shoulders, kind of type of mentality, just trying to walk instead of, hey, we're trying to swing it and get on base that way. So we got to have more of that mentality.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.